It's the Hot Stove presented by the Cup of Mets podcast. I'm Ian Bosniak, joined alongside by Matthew DeSantis as always. Matt, the stove is officially on.
The stove is cooking. Shohei Ohtani is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and and we have a lot to talk about with that. So
That we do. I'm already chuckling. It's wild. Yeah, before we dive into that, as Matt said, give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. We are at Cup of Mets. Also, be sure to rate and subscribe to the podcast, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. As Matt mentioned in the intro, Shohei Ohtani, a Los Angeles Dodger, $700 million man. Obviously, massive figure, more than we suspected. We were in probably that mid 500 to mid 600 range. He got 700, broke the baseball world with the news, but then the real news just kicked in a few hours ago. $680 million of that 700 is deferred. I don't know what to make of it. Apparently he offered these types of negotiations to other teams as well. It's not breaking, the CBA or anything like it, but it's fucked up.
it is. I didn't think that I always thought that he would get well over 600 million, but I didn't think that he was going to take that much in deferrals, like 2 million a year for 10 years. And then he gets what, 78?
68 million per year from 2034 through 2043.
That's crazy.
That's
That's
ridiculous.
So what's the Dodgers cap situation going to be like then?
Well, then I don't know. I guess that they're just gonna worry about it then. I don't even know. And the craziest part about it is that only $46 million is hitting their salary this season.
Yeah,
So, that leaves room not only for improvements throughout the ball club in and of themselves, but the fact, listen, I understand that the deferrals teams are allowed to do that, especially if it's negotiated right between both parties and they both want to do it. But to again defer that much money, and then for somehow, literally, they're deferring 97% of his contract, and then only $46 million is the cap hit for the team. Like, at least make it be 70 mil. I mean, obviously, I don't know how this shit works in detail, but it's obviously going to enhance the run at other players, and you know exactly which player I'm talking about.
exactly. And I think that the chances of him going to LA just shot up probably 60%.
Oh, when you say he, who are you talking about, Matt?
Mr. Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Oh,
I don't know, man. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm losing faith, and I think that the Mets should start considering pivoting.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that the fact that, just last thing on Ohtani, the fact that Ohtani's reps didn't even reach back out to the Mets and Steve Cohen spoke volumes, right? Um, but I also think it speaks volumes to potentially the fact that maybe this was in the works the entire time. Obviously, you can't do it until the conclusion of the season, but you have to think that maybe this was something that was thought about the entire time, both Ohtani's party and the Dodgers. Obviously, again, as I mentioned before, he did offer these types of negotiations to other teams, but then it can line up for them to bring in Yamamoto, who obviously he's friendly with and is an ace in and of himself, and he is going to command $300 million. And the craziest thing is, going back to the Ohtani thing, is not $70 million is going to hit the Dodgers cap hit. So you're looking at them being able to add another $33 million piece or $34 million piece, whatever it ends up being, in a Yamamoto, and they're still okay because they cleared that space, heading into 2024, knowing that this was what they wanted to do. And Obviously, yeah, dude. I'm with you. It really kind of, again, we don't know. The Mets are still in this thing for Yoshinobu, but again, it is something that I think we both have a little bit of an eerie feeling.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking about that contract, knowing Steve, I don't think he would have done that. I think because money, right? So first of all, Shohei Ohtani is losing money in the long run. Obviously, he prints money because of all of his endorsements. With his endorsements, he's up to over 40 million a year.
Oh yeah.
So with all these endorsements and stuff, I mean, money today is worth more than money tomorrow because of inflation and all of that. So money, it's not 700 million. It's more
No.
like five, maybe 440 or something like that.
Yeah, 440, 460, something like that.
But Steve, I always say it, Steve is a businessman and he would probably have been like, that's a pretty bad business decision. Like, yeah, you get in Shohei Ohtani for like, I mean, I wouldn't say minimal, but nobody thought that he was going to have all these crazy deferments. I mean,
He
that,
accounts he accounts like payroll wise where the number is. Again, not what is hit against their luxury tax.
mm,
Again, that's $46 million, but his payroll percentage is 1.54%
that's crazy.
of the Dodgers payroll. And he's the greatest player on the planet.
Yeah, and his payroll, if he would be like 100% of the Pirates.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there are six teams that if $70 million was his AAV, I think there are six or seven teams that he would have a higher AAV than the team's actual payroll.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
it speaks volumes on the teams that spend, speaks volumes on the teams that don't spend. But again, I don't think either of us really thought Ohtani was coming to the Mets. I think over the last several months, we got the indication that the Mets were going to go in a different direction. And that direction, obviously, right now is full blown pursuit of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as we mentioned. And
Yeah.
that's been going on for quite some time. The Yankees met with him this afternoon. Obviously, David Stearns and Steve Cohen flew out to Japan the week prior to the winter meetings to meet with him and his family. They said the meeting went great. Then he meets with the Yankees, and now we hear that he is going to meet with the Dodgers later this week. So,
And then the Giants, I think, right?
and then the Giants as well. Yeah. So we won't have an answer for a little bit.
Yeah.
We're looking at a week plus, a little
Somebody,
over.
I saw somebody today. I forgot who, but someone thinks it's going to be more around Christmas.
Yeah. That seems right. And
Yeah,
hopefully that would be, a very nice Christmas present.
for sure.
But I'm gonna go on record and say this. He could end up being the greatest talent that's come over from Japan
Mm,
since Shohei and Ichiro,
yeah.
right? But I don't want Steve Cohen overpaying,
No,
out the kazoo for him.
I think
I hope that each team is valuing him at around the 30 to 35 million AAV range, and it's just going to be about his preference to where he wants to play.
mhm, because I think it's going to be. It's I see people and especially on Mets Twitter saying give him 50 million a year and do deferred payments. Like, come on, I
No,
ain't getting somebody who's never pitched in Major League Baseball $50 million. Like that's crazy talk. I'd rather
especially
use that money on like Montgomery, the lefty, Amanga.
Shota Imanaga.
Yep. I can never say his last name, but I like them. I could bring back Lugo, maybe bring in Jack Flaherty. Now you're looking at multiple arms for that price. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that kind of brings us into our next thing. I mean, we're flying along here because that's the type of episode this is. There's not much imminent on the Mets front right now, but it's just kind of a wait and see mode. But that kind of brings us into, you mentioned a Montgomery, you mentioned an Imanaga, a Lugo, a Flaherty. What knowing that we have three pitchers right now, Kodai Senga, Luis Severino, Jose Quintana,
Mhm.
what would be your plan? And I think that especially now, today on December 11th, knowing that the Dodgers are in this thing, knowing that the Giants are in this thing, we know I feel like the odds have gone against us more so than they were a week ago, right? So what's your fallback option? What are you doing? Who are you paying what? How are you patching this rotation? Because it's barren as anything right now.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I would love Yamamoto, but I'm starting to think like, um, say the Yankees are very high on him. What are the Mets saying? You want to come and be a part of a rebuild, or and then I'm thinking, what are the Yankees saying? Like, you want to come and be a part of a championship team in 2024? Um, I,
So
I just
you're losing all faith here.
I kind of am. I'm not gonna lie. I think they have a better shot than we do. Because what are we realistically selling him? Pitching alongside Kadai Senga, and no,
And money.
we literally like have Steve said it, like we're pretty much like rebuilding the organization. So what is he gonna? What's he? We don't know what he prefers. But so you asked the question of what I would do. I think that there's a bunch of teams in this right now, and I think that this is gonna end at like him making 40 million AAV or something crazy with that posting fee, which is a lot of money. I heard it's like $36 million.
And the other thing to account with that is that the Oryx Buffaloes will also they don't have the ultimate say, obviously. That's not what it is, but they do encourage the player to take the highest offer from the team because they get the highest posting fee as well. So
Yep.
that's something worth noting, right? But again, if it's a difference between a couple $1,000,000 and he prefers to go join Shohei Ohtani in LA or, go to the Bronx and follow Tanaka, then there's nothing we can really do about that.
Was Tanaka an Oryx Buffalo? Why do I feel
I,
like he was?
I feel like he may have been. I'm gonna look that up. He may have been a Giant. You mean or a Giant? Let's look.
He was an Eagle.
Was he an Eagle? Oh no, no, he's an Eagle right now.
Oh, he's still playing over there?
Yeah,
I did not know that. Shit.
yeah.
But while you look that up, I would 100% fill out the roads. I'm starting to think maybe
No, he's always been an Eagle.
really?
Eagle and Yankee till the day he
Damn,
yeah, till the day he retires. Yeah. Go ahead.
good for him. I always liked Tanaka.
Yeah, he always had good stuff.
Yeah.
Feel like we did pretty well against him.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Would you go after Blake Snell?
No, no.
What
He's
about if what
gonna get
happens?
so much money, bro. I think I feel like someone's gonna go to like 7 years with him.
Yeah, see, and this is my issue because I'm scanning the trade market, right? We know that the Mets don't want to give up their high talent prospects, and I don't blame them to a degree. Then you look at it's just so fucking weird because it's like you look at Montgomery. He's really like a 17 to 18 million dollar pitcher, but in this market, he's going to get 23 to 25 million dollars. Blake Snell, yeah, two-time Cy Young Award winner, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's had some ups and downs. And in this market, you're right. He's probably going to secure 7, 8 years. He's probably going to get his potentially $200 million in this market, right?
No.
You look at an Imanaga, teams are going crazy for Yamamoto. You have to think that Imanaga's contract may get up there into the nine figures,
Yeah, maybe.
you know. So it's like what direction do you go? You mentioned the Seth Lugo. Love that. He's also drawing interest from a couple teams, the Red Sox, the Royals, notably. Um, you know, dare I bring this up?
Go for it.
Marcus Stroman.
Oh,
I know. I know. Listen, I know. I know. But what happens if you can get him at 2 years, 44 million bucks?
44. So we're paying him 22 million a year. I don't know.
Again, that's a short-term deal
I think I'd rather give that money to Montgomery.
over the long term.
Yeah, I don't know. I also really wasn't the biggest fan of Stroman and
I
his
don't like his ant. I don't
Mets
like his
career.
antics.
I don't even think he would come here.
No.
I don't think so. But hear me out. I think the Mets should have been all over Eduardo Rodriguez with that price.
You really think so at 20 mil? See, my thing with Eduardo Rodriguez is that he has shown an ability to be a very, very effective pitcher
Yeah.
and a durable one in that. And we've spoken a lot about that on this show in regards to having a bulldog in your rotation, right? But he's
Mhm.
also had some really down years, right? His first year in Detroit, not good. He was oft injured.
Yep.
Um, some of his years in Boston were up and down as well. So you have to take into consideration with that. I mean, granted, I understand the type of season that he had this past year. There would also be like a nice little connection there, I think, between Eduardo Rodriguez and a guy like Carlos Mendoza, both Venezuelans. Um, Rodriguez pitched for the Venezuelan WBC team as well, which Mendoza had a part in. Um, but to me, Eduardo Rodriguez has always been a little bit up and down. And again, I think he's another pitcher that in this market, if the market wasn't where it's at right now, I'm not sure he's getting $20 million a year. I understand that a couple of years ago he signed a lucrative 3-4 year deal, or was it a 5 year deal, whatever it was with the Tigers, right? But I think that where the Mets are right now, granted, we have holes. We want to compete in 2024, and I definitely think the Mets are going to do that. But I am just scared about overpaying in this pitching market.
I know. I mean, it sucks that we have to do that because our guys in the minors aren't ready yet. So that always like stings. But luckily we're almost out of the woods as we have some nice arms coming up through the higher levels of the minor league system. But I think if they don't get Yamamoto, you got to sign somebody. They're gonna have to go Montgomery to at least 5 years because he's gonna have that offer from somebody else.
I think he's getting one. I think he's going to get 5 for 125 or something like that.
I can see that. And then I would uh go right to like Jack Flaherty, 1 or 2 year deal, 1 year deal with the team option.
Okay, so right now we're at Senga,
Uh, Jack Flaherty,
Jack
uh,
Flaherty,
Tana,
Don,
Montgomery,
Montgomery, Severino.
Severino, and
Uh,
then I would probably fill the sixth one with McGill or Lucchesi, somebody like that.
okay,
So
okay. See, what I would do here is Jordan Montgomery is my guy. I'm with you as well. With that said, I'm not going beyond. This sucks. I I don't want to go beyond 25 million bucks. I don't want to even go near 25 million bucks for him, right? But all right. But here's the other thing too. If the Mets were to sign Jordan Montgomery for 5 years, $125 million, is he worth that AAV? Maybe not, maybe so, whatever. They could go ahead then and also sign Shota Imanaga
mhm.
to a 5 year, $100 million contract, whatever it ends up being. I think MLB trade rumors pegged him at 5 years, 85 mil. They can go ahead and do that with the posting fee, but that posting fee is coming out of Cohen's pocket. So what's that? All of a sudden you have $225 million committed to two pitchers combined instead of 300 plus for one in Yamamoto, who's never pitched in the big leagues.
Exactly, and needs 6 days of rest.
Exactly. And then the Mets, theoretically in my rotation, you have Senga, Montgomery, Imanaga, Severino, and Quintana. And
Yeah,
then, Imanaga may need an extra day of rest as well. I would even entertain from there. I would even entertain a reunion with Seth Lugo or bringing in someone who's trying to reestablish his value, like a Jack Flaherty or like a Mike Clevenger or even like a Brad Keller. You know, someone who has pitched innings at the big league level, but hasn't been able, just hasn't reached their potential or hasn't been able to stay healthy or whatever it may be. Because then again, that pushes Tyler McGill and Jose Budo and Joe Lucchesi further down the Mets depth chart, which is exactly what they need. They need pitching depth at the higher levels because, as you mentioned before, the Blade Tidwells, the Mike Vasils, the Dominic Hamels, the Tyler Stewarts of the world, they're not ready yet.
Yeah, exactly. As much
So,
as we want them to be ready, they're not ready yet. I don't think any of them are going to make the Mets rotation out of camp, and they better get some rotation depth because if we see Jose Budo starting a game, that's a massive fail already.
yeah. So, I mean, we'll probably record another episode before Yamamoto makes his decision, another one or two episodes, right?
Yeah.
But what's your prediction right now, honestly? Where does he go? How much?
Uh, I mean, it's either we're going to see the Dodgers did all this deferment shit for a reason, and they're going to keep going, keep adding. I think it's either the Dodgers or the Yankees. I think Brian Cashman gets it done.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah. I think that somehow they sell him on, oh, we just brought Soto to town, joined Garrett Cole and Rodon, and I don't know. For some reason, I have that feeling in my stomach that it'll either be Yankees or Dodgers. I think the Mets will miss out. I would love to be wrong though. I would love to be wrong. That's just a gut feeling.
What's the contract?
9 years, 300 million.
So crazy.
Yeah, that's what
So
I think.
so
I think he
crazy.
has landing 300. And then look at Garrett Cole. He's like, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I get paid 324 million. This guy hasn't even thrown a pitch on in American soil.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's gonna come out like and pull a Bryce Harper and be like, I don't give a shit how many years I have left on my contract. I want an extension on top of this.
Oh,
Yeah, I unfortunately do agree with you here. We're recording December 11th. I do agree with you. As of right now, I don't think Yamamoto is a Met. I'm trying to keep the faith. I still have full trust in Stearns and Steve Cohen, but the market is in a weird place right now, and the Dodgers deferring all that money just opened up a whole new ball game for every team that's involved in this sweepstakes. And I personally believe that he winds up with the Dodgers, joining Shohei Ohtani, and I think he signs on a 10-year, $320 million contract, making $32 million a year. The Dodgers then pay the posting fee. Bada bing, bada boom. And yeah, we miss out.
if Yamamoto goes to the Dodgers, that's going to be a really hard team to beat.
Yeah. And what do we think? Do we think that the media and everybody's going to flip out because the Dodgers spent or committed a guaranteed $1 billion to two players in an offseason? Or do you think that's just a Steve Cohen thing?
I mean, Steve Cohen signed Ohtani, and it came out that uh, he deferred all that money, or he would have been forced to sell the team.
Yeah, the owners would have had pitchforks.
Would have lost it.
Yeah, yeah, and the Dodgers can what do this swimmingly?
I mean, I guess, man,
Listen, I
billionaires are a different breed.
yeah, listen, I understand that I want teams to spend. Don't get me wrong, I want teams to spend. It's good for the sport, but and I'm not complaining that the Dodgers signed him. I won't complain if the Dodgers sign Yamamoto because at that point it's preference, right? Unless they just blow him out of the water. But I just have a feeling that again, as you just said, let's say Steve Cohen deferred all that money. MLB would be going crazy. Manfred would be shitting his pants. Okay. Then you look at committing $1 billion. People are going nuts 2 years ago when the Mets brought in Scherzer and Starling Marte and the whole nine, and then they brought in Justin Verlander last year, and they were saying, "Wow, the Mets committed $86 million to two pitchers." And then all of a sudden there was a Steve Cohen tax, and like, is there going to be a Magic Johnson tax?
Who knows? Honestly, Manfred is such a clown that I can see.
Yeah, and apparently the CBA, this was something that the players declined because the owners wanted to do away with the massive deferrals,
Mhm.
and it was something that the players would not let go of.
Wow.
Yep. So Shohei to the Dodgers. Yamamoto is in limbo, and the sweepstakes are continuing.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what the Dodgers payroll is.
Yeah, it's they I think I read something earlier today that it's going to be somewhere around 240, 250. But
I'm
that's right now. And again,
on
that's
Spot Track and it's showing um an adjusted salary
well,
cap of 2 million for Shohei.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So that's the adjusted salary cap, and then there's a cap hit of 46 million. It says it's somewhere on there.
Yeah, so once that 46 kicks in,
Yeah, then their payroll skyrockets,
no,
but they still have flexibility because it's not near where it was a couple years ago anyway.
that's crazy to think.
Yeah, because realistically, what they're paying
The,
Freeman,
the,
Betts,
the New York Mets payroll is $278 million.
and who do we have?
Estimated payroll of active players, arbitration, pre-arbitration is
Who do
278. That's insane.
who do we have? Lindor 34
Marte's
mil.
making 19.5, while his adjusted salary is actually 20 million. Nemo 20.
Oh, well, this is also the final year that we pay half of Scherzer and Verlander's contracts.
Yeah.
So what? That's 23 for Verlander or something like that. And
Well, wow, we still owe James McCann $8 million this year.
yeah, yeah,
Holy shit. So no, so we owe Scherzer 20.8. We owe Verlander 20.7 and we owe McCann 8 million.
yeah. And then
So
we owe Bobby Bonilla, whatever.
Bonilla gets his 1.1 million.
Yeah,
But between all those three players, there's Shohei Ohtani.
yeah, yeah. Quite frankly, you know,
That's funny. I mean, Narvaez is being paid 7 million.
yeah, to do Jack.
Yeah, that's such a bad signing. He should have just signed a plain old 1 year deal veteran. Like, why? Why do that?
We'll never know. Listen, there were some ups and downs of Billy Epler's tenure in New York, and that was definitely a head scratching move. Switching gears here a tad, just so that again, I think Matt and I can agree that we could probably talk in circles about Yamamoto and the possibilities, because quite frankly, they feel like they're endless right now. Um, there are so many different teams, and as soon as we think that we're close to a decision, then we hear that it's going to be extended a little bit further. So let's try to dive into something else. And I think right now, my big thing is, well, first off, Ronnie Mauricio got hurt.
Yeah, that's not good. Not
and,
good.
and he's returning to New York for imaging from the Dominican League. And listen, from somebody who tore his entire knee, I'm not saying that's what it was whatsoever, but that pivot looked just like a tweak, whether it's like an MCL or a meniscus. I'm praying it's just like a knee sprain or something along
It's
those
not
lines.
Achilles.
What?
I'm hoping it's not the Achilles.
No, no, I think it's the knee. I definitely think it's the knee. That was the first thing that he grabbed. He was able to walk off the field, with the help of two others and then kind of gingerly on his own, but it definitely didn't look good. So you have to factor that into the equation as well. It's already starting. Um, just thankfully this time it wasn't our closer in March, but the Mets still need a bat. Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso need some protection in that order. You mentioned Marte getting 19 plus $1 million. Anything from him is gravy. Francisco Alvarez, sophomore season. Brandon Nimmo, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
You're going to get that 370, 380 on base percentage with near 20 home runs and, an OPS near 800, good defense, yada, yada, yada. We'll hope for a bounce back from Jeff McNeil if he's still on the Mets and not traded. I don't think he's going to be traded now, especially if Mauricio's hurt. Um, but we need a bat, right? There's Jorge Soler. I brought
mhm,
him up recently. 36 home runs last year for the Miami Marlins, 95 ribbies, 126 weighted runs created plus. I think the Mets should give this man, they're looking for a fourth outfielder.
yeah.
I think they should just sign an outfielder and know that he can also DH. Give him 3 years, 45 million bucks, $15 million annually. Do it.
Be cool with that. We need another bat.
Yeah. And I've also heard Teoscar Hernandez's name mentioned recently as well, which
I feel like I've been seeing that one for like even before the hot stove started.
yeah. And Teoscar is somebody that people don't think that he's going to get as long of a term deal as many projected he was going to get. Many thought that he was going to get somewhere in the 4 to 5 range, given that he's 31 years old and he's just had constant productivity. But he is, there have been rumblings that he may get a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's based off the fact that he has a long swing and he doesn't get on base a ton. Last year for the Mariners, 26 home runs, 93 ribbies, 305 on base percentage, accumulated OPS of 740, but his career OPS is 802. Listen, you want to talk about productivity. He hasn't hit below 22 home runs, discounting the 2020 season since 2018. Okay. In addition to that, 740, the 740 OPS was the lowest of his career outside of his rookie year of 724. So Teoscar Hernandez is someone that the Mets could pick up. He'd be more of a designated hitter, I think. Um, which way are you leaning there? We've also heard JD Martinez's name mentioned recently. There's a couple different ways that the Mets can go about this. Do you go ahead and do you sign a left fielder? Do you sign a full-time DH? What's your move there? What's your pivot?
I would do. I'm cool with all those guys. I'm cool with Soler. I would love that. I think that would be a perfect bat that we desperately need. And Teoscar Hernandez. I'd rather both of those guys over JD Martinez just because of his age.
I have a feeling that, last year Rob and I spoke heavily about JD Martinez, him and Justin Turner, and hoping the Mets would go ahead and, do away with Darren Ruff, which they eventually did, and bring in one of those guys. And they didn't do that. And Martinez had a great year, 33 home runs, 103 ribbies for the Dodgers, 135 weighted runs created plus. He was absolutely tremendous. And you want to talk about a actual designated hitter, JD Martinez is that in this point in his career. He's 36 years old. But I just have a feeling that if we were to sign him, same thing with Justin Turner, I think that that would be it for them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Well, Justin Turner is great, but I don't think you want to do that.
no, I I want Jorge Soler.
I could be behind that big time.
I want Jorge Soler. Pencil him in left
Yeah,
just for right now. If Ronnie Mauricio's MRI comes back clean and everything's good and he'll be good to go. If we're trusting in the kids, you go Alvarez behind the dish, Alonso at first, Mauricio at second, Lindor at short, Beatty at third, Marte in right. God willing, he's healthy. Nimmo in center. McNeil in left, and then Soler is your DH. That's some protection right there. And then again, if you beef up the rotation, if you solidify the bullpen, you got a contender right there. You have a wild card team.
Yeah, I'd say a wild card team right there.
Which bat would you covet if you were David Stearns the most right now?
You know, I don't know what his price range is. Looking at all these signings so far, it's been looking like it's pretty cheap. But out of all those, I would be fully on board with Soler. I think he would add a different dynamic. We don't have another 30 plus home run hitter.
Yeah.
So we add that. We have Lindor, Pete. I think the lineup would look pretty good at that point.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a lineup that looks something like that, it can go, it can go Nimmo, Lindor. If McNeil's hitting McNeil, then Alonso, then Soler, then Marte, then Alvarez, then Beatty, like they can really stretch it out. Um, I think it all just comes down to roster construction. But again, as we pointed out from the outset here in episode 7, right now, the Mets are signing people to minor league deals. They're signing people to spring training invites, but this is really wait and see on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and he is really holding up the Mets offseason right now.
Sure. And they should either figure out if they have a good shot at him, and if they don't feel that way, pivot immediately.
Yeah,
Get your
because
second favorite guy.
pick your second and third favorite guy, and then you can go ahead and you can go about the rest of your offseason, bring in some bullpen pieces, bring in another bat or two, and let's rock and roll. Like, we're not just sitting here like, lame ducks, and it's going to be December 25th, 26th, 27th. He's going to make his decision. And, if Montgomery resigns with Texas, or, Snell goes to wherever, then the Mets are kind of just left with their fingers up their, wahoos, and it's not a good situation for them.
For sure.
You
We
know,
gotta figure out what's going on and soon. Us fans, we need something.
we need something, as Buster
It's
Olney
something to
says.
talk about on here too.
I know. I know. As Buster Olney says, tell us what's going on. Stop hiding everything.
Exactly.
No, Buster's a clown.
Not
Buster's a clown.
like
Who?
Mauricio.
John Morosi. Yeah, John Morosi's another one. He just won't mention the Mets with any free agent.
He lost all of his credibility. This hot stove
What with Shohei to Toronto?
whole thing. What an idiot. What a
Yeah, he's a Blue Jays fan, John Morosi.
So he really dropped the bag because he's a big hockey guy too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. He dropped the ball.
Yep. Big week in baseball. Shohei signs with the Dodgers. Reporters losing credibility.
Hopefully
Hot,
more this week.
yeah. The hot stove is on medium right now. Obviously, Shohei turned it raging hot, but it's on medium because it's still just stagnant because of Yamamoto. And hopefully, we have some more to talk about next episode because, as you said, yeah, we need to dive into some things. We need to kind of see how the roster is going to start to configure and fill out because we're only about 2 months away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. So,
Dude, we're close.
that we are. We just
wait until after Christmas and then New Year's, and then it's just like,
yep, that's it. That's it.
so quick.
Christmas and New Year's.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Matt, you got anything else?
no, buddy. I think that's it. Until next time, thank you everybody for listening. And hopefully on our next episode, we'll have some actual Mets news.
Yeah, yeah. I second that, and I'm closing my eyes right now. Let's will and pray Yamamoto into existence for the Mets, man. But right now, it's a little bleak. I don't know.
I know we need something,
We
not
need
Blake.
We need something. Yeah, give us a bullpen arm to talk about. Oh, the Mets signed Jorge Lopez.
Yeah,
That's something.
that's a that could be a sneaky good one,
Yeah, look, we were
especially.
just about to sign off. Jorge Lopez.
Yeah, and I think that could be a solid, a sneaky like signing like midway in the year if we're not contending, like dish him off at the deadline.
Yeah, yeah, and also if we're good, he had a great 2022. We only signed him to 2 million bucks.
For
Add
sure.
another add another back end bullpen piece, and you have a nice bridge to Diaz.
Yep,
Um,
one could
yeah,
hope.
yeah, but again, so that's the excitement. you know, a player signing with not the Mets and Jorge Lopez signing with the Mets. So, um, with that being said, be sure to follow the Cup of Mets podcast on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at Cup of Mets. Also, be sure to rate and subscribe to the podcast, whether you get it on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite content. And for Matt DeSantis, I'm Ian Bosniak. Rob Venegas will be back later this week. Take care. Enjoy the night. And stay positive, Met fans. Okay.
Yes, sir. Good night, everyone.